Hey everybody, Brian from Rebel Traders here, Sunday, April 14th. So just going to take a look at the week that was and then maybe take a look ahead, see if we can find some possible swing trades and review some of the swing trades we're currently in now, or at least I'm currently in. So let's take a look, start out by looking at the market internals, as I usually like to do here. You know that the stocks above the 200-day, above the 50-day, all looking pretty good, 60-40 here. 70-30. So the internals still look pretty strong. 80% new highs, 20% new lows. Again, if you're a bull, it's all looking pretty strong right now. So we want to be looking for stocks maybe on the long side. Performance, always like to see what sectors are doing well. You can see financials had a pretty good week. We also had a really good day, of course, with the JP Morgan report on Friday. See also services, technology, consumer goods, good performers in the week, good performers in the month. Consumer seems to be in good shape. Technology seems to still want to move higher. It's where the money's flowing, as they say. So let's start out by looking at some of the indexes and the U.S. Treasury. U.S. Treasury here seems to be coming back up to this area of prior support, which should now become resistance. So I'm expecting the interest rates to settle out here around 2.6%. The Fed seems to think that there's no inflation, or at least it's running around 2%, which is where they want it to run. So they're going to stand pat. Doesn't seem like they're going to do anything. And so that should be good for the market, I would think. If they start indicating they're going to go higher, we may end up with another freak out like we got here. So let's take a look at the index. Obviously, the Dow was up pretty strongly on Friday. Had a good day on volume. Let's look at the week. Week actually ended lower than the previous week, which is kind of interesting. And well, so you can see here we're right at these two tops. We're right up into that area where there's been some significant prior resistance. And so I suspect we're going to encounter some resistance again here. And so next week we may end up not selling off, but we may end up doing this kind of thing here where we just chop sideways. And I think we can pretty much say that for most of the indexes. But let's take a look at the IWM, the small caps. You can see here it was an interesting day. We gapped up and then pulled back and then didn't quite make it back up to the high. So it wasn't a particularly constructive day for the small caps, and you can see here it didn't really do anything on volume. Again, the small caps seem to be stuck, and of course they're stuck well below their prior high from September. And so that's usually I like to see the small caps going higher with the market, and in this case we're not getting a good follow through with the small caps. So could be a little bit concerning for the bulls. Qs, of course, they've been strong with the technology. We saw that already. Let's take a look at how we finished the week here. Again, we're still in an uptrend, and we're right back to prior level of resistance, this double top here. So we'll see what happens next week. Should be interesting. Same with the SPY. We're getting right up close. We're actually above this prior level here, and we're coming up to this level, which should be more significant resistance because it's more recent, and that's where we had this big reversal. Not huge volumes. MACD seems to be pretty positive, RSI going up. So we'll see what the week brings. It's a short week, of course, as everyone knows. Good Friday coming up, so we're only trading Monday to Thursday. The dollar seems to be just consolidating, hanging out in this range right now. I don't think it's probably going to be stuck here for a while. That's my guess. And the VIX, the VIX is just getting obliterated. Volatility just keeps going down. I know some of the more sophisticated market players are using this low volatility to buy options. They don't want to sell their positions that have been great runners since the end of December. So the other option is to buy or sell options, and when the VIX is this low, the options are usually pretty cheap, so they're essentially just insurance on your holdings. So if they do tend to move, you have some insurance that is going to protect some of your profits possibly. Let's take a look at the actives. I've still got Coke. It's kind of a core holding. It's looked like it was going to break down here, but it kind of came back up, and so 47 seems to be a level where it's struggling to get through, but we'll still holding on to it. If it breaks below this 50 moving average, I'll bail on it. TGTX, still have a small position on that. I'm not really too happy with it, and I may just take the rest of it off because it just looks like it's struggling to get through 50. And if it keeps bumping up here and rejecting, then eventually what usually happens is you get something that looks like this. So I don't want to get into that position. I've sold a lot of it. I got it through here, sold a lot of it up here, and I may just end up taking that off next week. UWT, I had a long position. I sold a fair amount of it up here. It seemed to be pulling back a little bit now, so I've got a small position left. I'm going to hang on to it unless it starts to break down below sort of the 2150 level, 2130 level. If we get a pop above 2230, I'll add that back. I'll add more back. But right now I've got a very small position. I made some good money on that, and I'm just going to hang on to what I have left and just see what it does. Like I said, I'm just going to got my stop up near where I entered. And if you were on our email list, you would have got those entries and exits that I did. And we're just looking at XLU. I do still have a small position in XLU as well. It seems to be holding the 5750 level. Breaks below there, I will bail on that. Let's see what we've got on watch. ACB I had on watch from last week, still there, but it's just not, doesn't seem like it's doing anything. It may take it off. Dust and Nugget. I've been flipping back and forth between Dust and Nugget as it's moved up and down. So I've gotten a few good moves on this one. Right now I am completely out of both positions, both Dust and Nugget. I ended up selling my position on Nugget when the Fed started talking, and of course gold always seems to, these two ETFs always seem to move when the Fed comes out with some statement or one of them talks. So right now I'm just sitting here. It looks like we're into a period of consolidation. You could probably draw two lines here. Let's do this quickly. See, here's your one line connecting the candles, and here's another line connecting the candles, bottoms. And you can see here looks like we're kind of narrowing into this range, very, very narrow range where, buyers and sellers are fighting back and forth who's going to take control, and one of them will once it gets to a very narrow point, and then we'll be watching for a breakout one way or another, and that's when I'll take a position again. But right now I have no position on that, so we'll just keep an eye on that one for the time being. Emerging Markets ETF, I was watching that. I guess I should have gotten back in there, but I haven't, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that right now to see what it does, see if an opportunity presents itself in a little while. LabD is one I'm watching right now. It's a new one I've got on my list. Came up on a scan that I did, and it's interesting. We didn't talk about the groups that aren't doing so good, but if you went back to FinViz, you'll see healthcare has been not doing well. UNH got really hammered, and we're getting into that season. The presidential campaigns are going to start up in earnest in the next couple months to 6 months. The Democrats are already trying to pick their new nominee candidate for president. So, and there's always this, when this happens, there's always the healthcare sector just seems to be the punching bag for all the politicians as we lead up to an election. It doesn't matter which party you're in, they tend to like to beat up the healthcare sector. And so that's kind of why I'm thinking, it looks like, that punching bag season's starting to warm up, and maybe we're going to get, some selling off of the healthcare sector overall. It's already starting to show up in our sector scans that healthcare is starting to take a bit of a beating here. So, the biotechs could be one of those sectors that just don't do well in the next year or so. So I'm looking at this. It looks like it's starting to make its way up. I'm going to look for a position to take an entry on this. I'd like to get in back at 1750. Don't know if it's going to get back there, but you know, it looks like it could head higher from here, and I'm going to be looking to take a position on this, especially if we get a pullback. SMH, it's a semiconductor ETF, and again, it's still strong. I'm just watching, right? I don't have a position in that, unfortunately, and I would like to watch natural gas to see if I can find a trend, but it just seems to be kind of stuck in a range right now, so I'm not taking a position on that, but I will continue to watch it. And we're right back at the ACB. Let's just take a look at some of the other stocks that I'm kind of got an eye on. It came up with some of these scans here. AWW looks like it's on the verge of breaking out. I'm going to watch that to see if it can break through this 50-day moving average. If it can, we might be able to get back up to 54.50 here or 55. BPMP again looks similar kind of setup. It's trying to break through this level here. If it does, maybe we can get a decent run. Intelsat, I'm just interested in this one. It actually looks like it might want to break out. So I'll be watching that on Monday as well. OEC, engineered carbons, again kind of looks like it's going to break out. Keeping an eye on that one. And TEN is actually breaking out. So unfortunately, may have already made a significant move because it's right up at a level of prior support here, which is going to become resistance, so I would expect it to pull back. So if I can get an entry around 25, I could be happy with that. And then maybe it'll go back up and test the 26 level again, and then if we can get through that, you know, I'd be looking at even up to 29 as a possible, 29.30 level is a possible place, right around this 50-day moving average maybe where it could run to. So again, RSI looks good. Volume came in on Friday really nicely. So again, those are another couple of stocks that I am watching after I did a market scan. So all right, everyone. Hope everyone's had a great weekend, and we will see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room tomorrow. This is my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade. If you have a chance, check it out. It's available there. Have a great rest of the weekend, everyone, what's left of it, and we'll see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room tomorrow morning if you're going to join us there. Bye for now.